Hey everybody, welcome back to Marty and the Mystery Box. I am Martin Evans, the author of Marty and the Mystery Box, and where we discover my book one page at a time. So I haven't been on for quite a while, doing stuff, work, doing overtime, and just stuff around the house. Let's start and let the adventure begin with page one. So I will read page one. It was 6 a.m. in the morning. I just woke up with sweat running down my face. My hands were clammy. The dream I had, or the spiritual calling in bed, was a cryptic warning. The dream showed me a glimpse of the future, saying it didn't matter what path I choose or what I did, I was going to lose my job by Friday. I laughed out loud and brushed it off and started getting ready for work. So basically, I was sleeping. I had all this sweat coming down my brow and all this, and I just didn't feel right. And suddenly I just woke up out of a deep sleep with a cryptic warning saying, I'm going to lose my job by Friday. This Friday, something bad's going to happen to me. So let's continue. So as Marty did the usual thing, put on the coffee maker and the TV, his dog Kelsey just woke up with him. So my dog is a German Shepherd. Uh, her name is Kelsey. She's been with us 15 years, but I wanted to throw her in the book. It's kind of cool. Okay, let's continue. Kelsey sleeps on the floor beside Marty. Suddenly, a door opened. It was his gorgeous wife, Rose. She was leaving to go to the bathroom, and then another thud on the floor. It was her dog, Kuda, who got up with Rose. Kuda is another dog. Actually, it's a puffy dog. I wrote about him too, and that's mostly Rose's dog. Um, I had a dog, Chevy. He died 2 years ago today, I think. Like not today, but 2 years ago. He was basically my dog, but Kuda reminds me so much of Chevy, and I love Kuda with all my heart. Okay, so let's continue. So as Rose and Kuda were leaving the bathroom, Rose went back to her room. Marty looked outside and said, "Get up, Rose, get up, Rose. There's something glowing in the middle of the street." So so as Rose and Kuda went back to the bedroom, she closed the door, and as I was looking out the window, I noticed something glowing in the middle of the street while traffic was going by it. So I thought that was weird. So I ran into Rose's rooms, got her up out of bed. Let's continue. Rose and Kuda jumped right out of bed, saying, "What's wrong, Bear? What's wrong?" I said, "Rose, go to the window and see if you see something funny." She goes, "Bear, it's 6:30 in the morning." I said, "Just go." So of course Rose got on her robe, started going towards the window. So I got Rose out of bed. She's going towards the window. So as Rose said, "What's wrong, Marty?" I said, "Look outside. Do you see that box glowing in the middle of the street?" Rose took another glance and said, "Marty, I think you're watching too many supernatural TV shows because I see the box, but it's not glowing. It just looks like a cardboard box in the middle of the road." I said, "Rose, I have to get up for work. Can you go over and get it?" She goes, "No, it's 6:30 in the morning. You go and get the box." I said, "Okay." So I didn't want to upset her. So basically, we're both at the window. We look outside. I see a spiritual glowing in the box, like something different, but she just sees a plain cardboard box. So as Rose went back to bed, I looked at Kelsey, gave her a treat, and said, "Am I crazy?" Then suddenly Kelsey's eyes started to glow yellow. The house was dark, so I dismissed it as car lights shining through the window. Kelsey started running around the apartment and at the window, just barking crazy. So so Rose is back in bed. I'm sitting in the living room and looking out this window, and I'm just doing normal stuff to get prepared for work. Suddenly, I look at my dog quickly, and suddenly her eyes pierced yellow. And I just knocked that off as car lights coming through the glass window and shining above her eye. But she wouldn't shut up. She was going around the apartment like crazy. Finally, I calmed her down. Just finding out where we are. Because I'm trying to explain to it while I read it. Sorry. Rose called the dogs to the bedroom and slammed the door. So as I noticed, I look back at the box. Okay, so Rose called Kelsey to the room. Then she closed the door, and so she has both dogs. So then I looked out the window again to see if I was crazy. No, the box is still glowing. I said, "Oh, okay." So I knew it was a spiritual calling for me, for Marty. So I said to myself, okay, I'm going to go and get the box. As Marty opened the apartment door, he looked back at Rosie, Kelsey, and Kuda and said, wish me luck. Rose said, yeah, good luck. I'm going back to bed. Marty took one last look at Kelsey and said, come on, girl. I wanted her to go with me just for protection, right? Because I don't know what I'm going to experience. So then, come on, girl. But there was nowhere to be seen. I couldn't see her anymore. I said, Kelsey, come. So I'm looking for Kelsey around the apartment. I couldn't see her anymore. So I screamed out, Rose, do you have all the dogs? She says, I have all the dogs. So I was thinking to myself, fuck. Under Marty's breath, Kelsey, you traitor. I guess it's all me. Well, here I go. So I looked back one more time, proceeded to close the apartment door. And I kept wondering as I was approaching the elevator, am I crazy? The lights started flickering in the hallway. Shit. So I dashed for the elevator. As usual, I'm in the elevator. I press the button down. The door slams shut. I looked down at my watch. It was almost 7 o'clock. As I reached for the elevator to get to the bottom floor, the elevator stood still for a second. I said, oh my God, what is this? Suddenly there was a green mist. As the elevator's doors open, I dashed for the front door. So I don't have Kelsey. Rose has got Kelsey. I ran down the hallway. The light started flickering. I couldn't believe it. So I made it to the elevator. I hit the down button. As the elevators are closing, the elevator was going so slow, like it was starting to stop and start. And as I finally reached the bottom, this green mist was coming through the elevator. Finally, I just ignore the green mist and I get outside the apartment. I saw the square box in the middle of the rows as cars drove by it. So I finally outside the building, I look and I can still see clearly the box in the middle of the road glowing, sensing, calling me. The phone rang. It was 7 already. It was my boss. Marty said he didn't feel well. Oh, sorry. Phone rang. It was 7 already. It was my boss, his boss, Marty's boss. Mark said, aren't you coming in? Marty said, I didn't feel well, but I didn't feel well, but would work on the Evans account and get it done by Friday. Mark said, take care. Marty muttered under his breath, fucking Evans account. It's worth millions. I don't want to fuck that up. The boss wants me to come in today. I guess so. It's Monday. I glanced at my watch again. It was 8 o'clock. Fuck. Marty said, and safely ran across the road, picked up the small box. Strangely, it felt like there's nothing inside it, like a feather. It was so light. As I looked closer, I noticed there's a cross symbol marked on it. I placed the box on the passenger seat of my Cuda. I turned the key and headed to work. Once again, I looked at the box. It looked normal. It wasn't glowing, wasn't doing nothing, but the symbolization of the cross inside the box really took me for a loop. So I'm just driving to my job now to see Mark. Traffic sucked as usual. Every stop, someone had a sign asking for money. I looked across the street and the guy gave me the finger. He shouted and said, do you have any money? I said, I don't have money. I don't get paid till Thursday. He said, well, go on your way. And finally, I'm at the office. The boss's play toy drove up. You're late, Marty, I whispered. So are you. And that was it for the beginning of the book. I feel like it's impersonal when I try to read it, and I'm trying to explain as I read because I know I guess it's not right where I just put my head down and read like a normal book. So what I want to do is try to explain it to the audience what's going on. So as I was going down the highway, going to my work, Mark's office, a lot of people had them signs, need work, give me money, and one approached me. And I said, I yelled out, I don't have any money. It's not Thursday. And then he gave me the finger because he was upset. And as I was driving to work, I noticed everything was fine. And then I pulled into a spot, and suddenly this BMW rushed and just stopped 3 feet in front of my car, hit the brakes. It was Mark's secretary, Suzanne. And she said, "You're late, Marty." And I said, "So are you." And basically, the next page would come from there. So Mark has a really pretty secretary named Suzanne, really pretty, right? And they own. My problem is I got assigned to the Evans estate. It's a $7.6 million contract, and Mark wants his 30%. So I will leave you with that. Um, I really appreciate if you guys subscribe or email me or just give me an idea of how this video is reacting to you. Um, that box in the corner with the cross on it is actually a symbolization of the story. The reason that is bought because I bought um, t-shirts, cups, hats, and I wanted to start doing a draw every Friday. I said that on my last video before this, to do a draw every Friday. But I didn't have no newcomers, I didn't have no emails, I didn't have no comments, so I can't make a draw unless someone emails me and gives me their information. Then I can draw every Friday. But right now, I have all this merchandise to give away. Just, it's nice to watch a channel and someone give something for free. You don't get that very much. Um, I really appreciate you tuning in again. I'd like you to subscribe. There'll be better, flashy, more videos. I'm just new at this, so I went to fill up my car today. Off the topic, I can't believe because of the war and everything, we're paying $1.67 a liter of gas. Almost fell over, but it is what it is. Last year it was $2 a liter, right? My wife's upset about paying the gas. I'm sure everybody else is too. I'm wanting to put the topic on billionaires and millionaires out there. Like, I'd really like to do some videos, but trying to meet them or introduce them. But they got to remember before I wrote it down, some of the names. So, the owner of Walmart is the Walton family, right? They're so rich and all this stuff. And I just want to say, shout out, they probably would never hear this, but basically, the Walton family and Sears, the grocery store, George Weston, controlled by the Western family. So we got the Western family and the Walton family. Of course, they're trillionaires, right? But I like to say, just heads up, groceries are very expensive. Uh, you can't really say anything about rent and stuff like that because that's our carney, which I don't even want to get on that topic because I'll be swearing all day. He's saying he's doing so much for Canada, but he's actually putting us down. He's making us not Canadian anymore. He wants to immigrant thousands and thousands of um, Indians and all that to think it's going to help us. I have nothing against that, but bring them back slowly so we can have the housing and the jobs to help them out. Anyways, back to these Walton families and the Western family. They were trillionaires. I feel like what I'd like to do, what I honestly would do, I think if I won the lottery, because you can't really do it now, pay for your own TV time and address these billionaires and say, do you remember when you had nothing and you were starting from scratch? And it was hard to get by, but now you made it in life. What's wrong with dropping the grocery prices, making people's existence available to exist? Like, remember when you got 150 bucks, you could buy groceries for the week? Now it's like 300 bucks and you don't even get as much. It's like, it's very hard out there for people initially. And I feel bad and I feel bad for myself too. Um, I just feel like we can do more to this world. We can do a lot more, but nobody knows how to go about it. I don't either. But I think to do anything to this world, we need a lot of financial backing because nobody listens to us really. Um, we can make a million channels, but this ain't going to get to the George Weston or the Walton family. And congratulations, they're trillionaires. Would it really matter to drop the grocery prices, and feel back to when you started? People have to decide if they have to eat or pay their rent. Now, rent is going down, fortunately, not by much, but all I can say is I hope everybody's happy. I hope your family's healthy. I hope your pets are doing well. And I hope you have a fantastic day today. And remember, please subscribe. Thank you for joining Marty in the Mystery Box, and I will make a video hopefully Friday or Saturday. You take care. Thank you.